What is going on, traders, and welcome back to IFX. And let's talk about the new strategies that I've been working on with the IFX RSI EA. Okay, so this is going to be RSI block strategies, and we're just going to go briefly on the strategies because you should be able to find that on the course. Okay, so this is going to be on the EA. I've made a couple of changes that we're going to go over just in a little bit. And also, we're going to have 4 different strategies that I'm going to talk about so that you can understand them and be able to trade them with the EA. That is going to be a guide, okay? So remember, the EA is going to be, you're going to put them on different pairs. Like I usually have them on 10 to 15 pairs. And then I analyze the market, and then I make it automatic on the ones that I see that are high probabilities of a good trade. Okay, so you shouldn't have the EA working 24/7 just like that. Okay, so we're going to talk about timing also, because there's also a time that we shouldn't be trading, which is usually the end of the New York session, and then just 1 hour of the Asian session that we shouldn't be trading. So let's get started. And again, they're gonna be 4 different videos on 4 different strategies, pretty much almost with different variations in here. Okay, so the first thing is we need to take into account yesterday's high and yesterday's low. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we're gonna be entering on M15 trend block on 60 settings. And then we're going to be using the RSI, which we're going to talk about, we have 2 different RSIs now, which is going to be overextended and trend RSI. So this is going to be the RSI trend, because you know, we have made a couple of changes on the EA, and we're going to be using fractals as well in here, which is also very interesting. And we're going to go over, you know, usually when we enter, we want to either go with the daily candle or weekly candle. Okay, if you're trading manually, which I do, there are times when I don't enter along with the daily candle. But if you're gonna trade with the EA, then I would suggest you actually leave it on the daily candle. So what does this mean? Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna go over right now, it's the 2 changes that I have made on the EA. Okay, so the first one that really I want to go over with you is that, well, very simple. We have here right over here, so we have the RSI filter, RSI trend. Okay, this is filter number 7. So this was changed. Before, used to be higher time frame moving average, but now it's going to be an RSI trend filter. And then filter number 8 right over here, it's going to be the overextended RSI. So what does that really mean? Well, what they mean is that when we choose the trend filter, that means is that if we wanna enter on a trade, let's say when we can choose different time frames in here as well. So this is also neat about this, is if you choose 15 minutes. So when we get a block when the RSI is below 50, that means we're on a downtrend, so we could enter on that, right? And then here is when the RSI has been overextended, overbought, or oversold, meaning that if the RSI reaches to 70 and I get a block around this area, then I should be able to look for a sell entry. So they're completely different things, so don't confuse them. You know, we're gonna go over this on pretty much on the chart so that you're gonna be able to understand them. So there are 2 different filters, RSI trend and the RSI overextended. And then the other filter that was added in here, it's going to be filter number 11, which is also very neat, and this is going to be fractal filter. So it's going to be very, very easy to understand it, nothing crazy about this. But you know, the main idea that was changing here is just the RSI that was added. It was exchanged with another filter that I wasn't really comfortable with, that I wasn't really using, and then I added this fractal. So I think this is really the last missing puzzle to the EA. So we have pretty much everything in here that we can make wonders with this. Okay, so what are we going to do is, I'm going to add right now, because we have here the RSI Matrix. Okay, you should already have an understanding of the RSI Matrix. So pretty much, you know, we can have all the time frames in here, and then, you know, that'll be easier for us to just pretty much see what is going on with the market, right? You know, higher time frames and stuff like that. So if I add here the RSI on 14, so what is the difference with the overbought and over, you know, the trend one? Okay, so very, very simple. So in here, if the market, let's say for example, is above 70, or if it reaches to 80, then that means the overbought, we are overbought, and if we get a block, right, then it should give me an entry. Now with the trend, it's totally different. Now if we are above or below the 50 level, which is right over here, then I should be looking for an entry. So if I choose the trend, and I get a block right now, I shouldn't get an entry because I'm overextended, and I'm not sure if this may be an actual trend, and the market might keep on going higher and higher, and I don't want to risk it. So if the RSI reaches to 50 or below, then it should give me an entry. So for example, right over here we had a trend block happening, right? And we have a couple of things happening. We are above prior day mid-level, which it's going to be a strategy later on. So, and we got the entry right over here, okay? And at the time of that entry, the RSI was above 50. Now, there are two things that you need to keep in mind, is that you can either choose the same time frame that we're looking at, we have M15, or you can go higher time frame that said, hey, if the RSI on 1 hour is above 50 and I get a block on M15, give me an entry. And also that the daily candle is bullish. So pretty much right over here, we're saying, but this is not the strategy, right? This strategy that we're talking about is going to be the second strategy, but you know, pretty much that's where we're looking. So for strategy number one, we're looking at when the market is overextended yesterday's high and yesterday's low. So this is yesterday's low and this is yesterday's high. Then it's going to look for a trade when all of those meet. So right over here we have an entry that I'm going to show you right now. Let me just get rid of this line over here that it doesn't really meet what we're looking for. My computer is a bit slow. Okay. Now, this is one entry that the EA took yesterday, meaning that I got a block, okay? At the time, this was the entry. It was really short entry. You know, I took out like 40 pips on that, on gold. So at the time of the entry, we were above the 50 level, right, on the RSI. And right over here, these arrows that you see in here, that means that those are the fractals. So we want to be able to break the tapped fractals if we want to buy. So the tapped fractals right over here, you know, again, I'm not going to go much in detail, but if we broke these fractals right over here that is closest to the lowest right here, then we should get an entry, okay? And the other way around if we're looking to sell. If I was trading manually, I would have entered a little bit earlier, like right over here, because I broke these top fractals right over here. They acted as a resistance, and I would have entered right over here, but the EA entered for me right over here, okay? So pretty much that's it. So the first strategy is we're making sure that we are either close or way below yesterday's low to look for a buy entry, making sure that the RSI is above 50 on M15 and that we have broken a fractal, okay? And then so if I go backwards a little bit, you know, I'm gonna look for an entry or opportunities. Let's say on this example right over here, we were below yesterday's low, this green line right over here, but the only thing is that it didn't meet all the other requirements, which was breaking a top fractal, which was not even close, anything close, a top fractal. It was all the way here, and Number two, we didn't get the RSI at the moment of the entry. There was no, it was not above 50, okay? So that's why it would not trigger an entry right here. Right over here, it should be another block right over here that it happened actually, but it wouldn't have triggered, unfortunately, it wouldn't have not triggered an entry. We were above yesterday's high, right? And we broke a fractal right over here, but this wouldn't have been an entry right here. This candle right here that broke below the box, a trend block box, it wasn't below the 50 level yet, okay? The RSI level. That's why it would have not triggered an entry, but you know, it did go down, but it just wouldn't have never triggered an entry. So unfortunately, that wouldn't have not been a trade right there. So it's very, very simple. And then usually if we do that, you know, if we enter on yesterday's high, what is our take profit? The take profit should be either prior day mid-level as the first take profit, and then the second take profit should be close to yesterday's low. Okay, so this was actually a great entry because it did go to yesterday's low right over here, and it was an awesome entry. Okay, so more examples. Again, it should be, is really straightforward. Maybe we can look at another pair right over here. We have pound dollar. So pound dollar right here, it would have given us an entry. Again, we can choose the trend block or we can use the reversal block. The only thing sometimes with the reversal block, it would not trigger an entry on the first entry. What I noticed with the reversal block is that we can get entries with retest entries, okay? So I'm gonna go over that in another strategy. But in here, this is the trend block right over here. So at the time that we got the trend block, we were below, pretty much below yesterday's low, which was this one right over here. It would take into account this low. And we did break all these fractals, tap fractals right over here. And at the time of the entry, we also, what did we have? We were going along with the daily candle, which was bullish. And also at the time of the entry, which was right here, we were above the 50 level on the RSI, okay? So again, you can choose other time frames RSI if you want to be extra conservative. But this right here would have triggered an entry on the what? With the EA. So let's just say I wake up early and I'm like, okay, cool. There, you know, I see an entry that should be working. I'm gonna make it an automatic, and then it should be able to trigger an entry automatically for me. If I don't want that, I would get an alert and I would do it manually myself on here. If I get this signal, hey, everything has met, all the filters has met, everything that you're looking for. Hey, here's an entry, bam, buy entry, okay? So my exit should be close to this resistance right over here. This is a nice resistance over here. And then the next stop resistance would be right over here, okay? So if you have taken the course, you know, again, I go more into details with that, but this is very briefly, and then as you can tell, it just got there and then boop, it bounces off. Maybe we can get an extra entry right there. And then right here, again, this is another strategy that we're going to talk about. This was a nice entry that I got. And then again, so this strategy is only taking into account yesterday's high and yesterday's low. So we need to be either close or extended over yesterday's high or low. We're going to use the M15 trend block on 60, okay? We're going to use the M15 RSI trend that needs to be either above or below the 50 level. We can use M30 or H1, you know, if you want to be more conservative. We're going to use the fractals, meaning that at the time of the entry, we have to break a fractal. There are times when it doesn't, and then it just, you know, is not going to trigger. And then you can use daily candle or the weekly candle to be extra conservative, or you know, you can just pretty much not do any of this, and then, you know, it's gonna more or less is going to look for more entries, okay? It's going to give you a lot more entries compared to if you choose yesterday's daily candle or not. So right over here, we would have had an entry Okay, it was right here, the entry, although it didn't run for that longer because unfortunately this block was way too low, because our first take profit should have been the prior day mid-level, which it hit it and it bounced off from there. So this would have at least minimum of 20 pips, and okay, it was 23 pips. That should have been an exit right here. So that's why it's very, very important to actually not be in front of the computer 24/7, but unfortunately, there are other things that the EA or none of the EA out there are gonna be able to know all the details that we're able to see. Okay, so this would have been a takeout profit right here, because again, we talked about this is a nice support, and then it bounced off from there. But this would have been an entry which also met all the requirements. Have broken this level of fractals right here. This one also, it closed below it. We had the RSI on M15 below the 50 level, and then we were also above, at the time the market went above yesterday's high, so that's the other criteria that it met, so it would have made an entry right there. Okay, so if you have any questions in regards to this strategy, please let me know. But again, you're gonna have the EA when you come and see this. On the EA, it's going to be, I'm going to give you the strategies already set for you, and then all you have to do is test it a little bit further just to make sure that it works, right? But again, the way I use the EA is totally different. So this is a trend filter, and then this is the overextended filter. If you want to trade with that, be my guest, that's up to you. And right now I just put in the EA, so it doesn't have all the right filters in here. And then the other new addition filter that we had was the fractals right over here. Okay, and then again in here, if we're gonna use yesterday's high, yesterday's low, then we're going to use that as well, yesterday's high and yesterday's low right over here. And then we have a video on the buffers, how to understand this filter number 10, how you can put any indicator, support and resistance indicator, into here, and then it's gonna be nice and easy, nice and cool. Okay, traders, so I will see you on the next strategy, which is we talk about 4 different strategies, and I hope you're able to understand this strategy. So I'll see you on the next one.